semilunar valves. You know what the AV valves are? Because some people are like, I thought it's the mitral and tricuspid. So the mitral and tricuspid are called AV valves, right? And then the aortic and the pulmonary valves are called semilunar. Okay? So it's referring to the same. Okay. So we have your blood, so deoxygenated blood returning to the heart, right? Return to the heart via, superior vena cava, inferior vena cava, and your coronary sinus, right? So it's going to go enter the right atrium, right? Right atrium. What happens then? You're going to have the P wave, right? Which will depolarize this one, leading it to contract or go into atrial systole. So it will go into atrial systole. Remember, we start with all the valves closed. This is our starting point. Start. Right here, right? And the blood is returning. This is the superior vena cava, inferior vena cava, and the coronary sinus. Right? So now the P wave will depolarize and the atria will go into systole. What do we predict when the atria goes into systole? The
Pressure goes up.
Pressure will go up. The pressure will go up to the point where eventually it will open, right? Will open the AV. Okay? So when it opens the AV, I know that the blood will go from, blood goes now, from atria, go down to the ventricle, right? Okay? So now that, now we pick up the P wave, we'll keep moving, moving, moving. Next will be the QRS. You see that the blood is now in the ventricle, right? So volume in the blood is going up. Okay, so the volume in the blood is going up and the ventricle will depolarize and it will go into systole. Okay. Now we know that the blood is now in the ventricle, right? A means atria to the ventricle. With the blood in the ventricle, it depolarizes, it goes into systole. So which means that what happens?
Pressure goes up.
Pressure goes up, and there's the rebound of the blood that will push close, right? It will push close first the AV valve. Close the AV valve, right? So look at, we're back to all valves closed, right? Because we just opened one AV valve. It was, all of them were closed in the beginning. Here we open one AV. And then there's a point where you close the AV. That means all the valves are closed again, right here, right? And that's what you call isovolumetric, what?
Contraction.
Very good, because we contracted. Okay? So this is called isovolumetric contraction. Right? And then pressure keeps going up. Finally, it will be enough to push a closure of the AV valve also is called the first hard sound, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's your lub, right? First hard sound. Pressure will go up, 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 up until it will finally enough pressure to open your semilunar valves, right? What happens when the semilunar valve opens? Your blood from the ventricle will move to the aorta and your pulmonary artery. Right? So the two, right and left sides, are happening both at the same time. So that's what you call ejection of blood. The ventricle ejects it To the right, it's the pulmonary artery. To the left, it's the aorta. Both events are happening at the same time, right? So now, what happened? The ventricles will eventually relax because this, oh, where was the QRS? Then the next is the T wave, right? Here, the ventricles will repolarize or relax. Oopsie. What do you call that?
Diastole.
So what happens when it's in diastole? Isn't it the pressure will go down?
Mm-hmm.
Right? So when the pressure goes down, plus the elastic recoil of the aorta, right? Plus the elastic recoil of your arteries, you remember, of the aorta and pulmonary artery. Plus you add to that gravity, right? So then that means the blood will, fall back down because the heart is like this, right? And the aorta, you saw in the cat, the aorta and the pulmonary are up there. So the blood will fall down, right? So the blood will go down towards the ventricle, right? Towards the ventricle, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that blood going down, that's what will close your
Semilunar valves.
right? Close semilunar valves. So look at, now we're back to all valves closed again, right? Because here, look at, we close the AV, here we open the SL, but now we're gonna close the SL again, so now all the valves are closed again, right? What do we call this? Isovolumetric one. Yes, very good. So this is what we call isovolumetric relaxation. Right? So then, because of the closure of the semilunar valves, the blood will just keep going out. Right? So next, what's the next one? We go back there, we connect over here. Another round. This is what you call a cycle. It just go back again and again. So after the T wave, isn't it another T? Then QRS. Oh, by the way, somewhere here in the QRS was the atrial relaxation. It's hidden, right? So somewhere here, the atria was relaxing. And that's why when the atria relaxes here, the pressure goes down, right? That's the relax means diastole, right? Atrial diastole. So that by the time another P wave happens, it's ready again. It's received the blood. So when it's in diastole, it's going to receive blood again from the superior inferior vena cava, coronary sinus, right? So here, don't forget the aorta. Don't forget when the blood goes to the aorta, right here, always the first branch is the coronary artery, right? To supply the heart itself. Okay? So if you can discuss it like this, that's the story of the heart.